We are back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Friday, March 20th. The round of 64 continues as obviously we have eliminated half the teams, or I guess a fourth of the teams from the field. 16 teams are now gone, plus the 4 that got eliminated in the first 4. And now here we are, the final day of the round of 64 before the round of 32 begins tomorrow. So of course, all the remaining teams get a shot today, and we've got 5 best bets for the set of games. Now folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today on the channel, our NBA best bets. You're not going to want to miss those in a couple hours here on the channel. We've been on fire currently with the NBA. We have hit on Los Angeles Lakers money line with plus money now in 3 consecutive games, dating back to the 2 games in Houston and then Miami yesterday. How about Luka Doncic? Oh my goodness. We've been on fire with the NBA yesterday, a 4-1 day over there. College basketball yesterday, a 3-2 day. We'll take it, a positive day. We kick off the day with Troy playing some of the worst basketball I've ever seen. Arkansas beats Hawaii and beats Hawaii by more than 15. Hate watch successful. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Go to the Mountain West. We don't need you anymore in the Big West. VCU beats North Carolina outright. Oh my goodness, what a game. What a comeback for VCU. Shout out to the Rams. And how about the Atlantic 10? How about the A10? VCU wins, St. Louis blows out Georgia because the SEC sucks, and hell, even in the NIT as well, St. Joseph's beats Colorado State. I mean, these A10 teams continue to win. Just putting it out there, BYU lost to Texas. Okay? And how about Kennesaw State? You know, with 4 minutes to go in the first half, I'm thinking to myself, oh, we should have nuked the money line. Thankfully, we didn't. Gonzaga took care of business in the second half, but we had 21 points on Kennesaw State. I was seeing that line close at around 20-ish. 19.5 I saw 20.5. I mean, all of them hit. It's Kennesaw was really in that game. Gonzaga never led by more than 20 points. So Kennesaw was always covering that entire game. Really great game for the Owls. Well, not in terms of them winning, but for us, we'll take it. We don't care. So looking for more success today. Again, the final day of the round of 64 before, again, the madness continues tomorrow with 32 teams remaining left in the field. Again, hit that subscribe button down below for more. On Greedo Plays MMA, we have our PFL Madrid predictions coming out, or they are out, and the card is today. Tomorrow is UFC London, Evloev versus Murphy in the main event, obviously from the O2 in London, England. We posted our best bets yesterday for that card as well. Okay, let's do it. First of 5 best bets today for March Madness. We will get to the remaining games I don't get a chance to talk about in the video at the end of the video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And I was just made aware the NIT's tomorrow. Sorry, real quick. Why? Is the NIT stupid? Why are you running your games on the same day and at the same time as the round of 32 tomorrow? What are you doing? Put all your games on Monday. There's no basketball on Monday, and the NIT decided, you know what? We're going to run games on Saturday and Sunday. That is unbelievably horrible. Anyways, let's do it. First now of our 5 best bets for today, we kick things off with the daunted 2-leg parlay. It returns. It returns. We're back. Oh, we better hit it this time. 2-leg parlay today. We're looking at Texas Tech and UCLA. Okay, I'll tell you this. I don't think there's a world where UCLA is losing today. I don't think there is. And we will talk about each of these games individually, right? I think personally, that is the easier part of the parlay for me. Is UCLA winning. I think Texas Tech's a little bit more difficult, but again, I think both these should hit. Okay, so technically the bigger favorite is Texas Tech. UCLA, by the way, fully healthy, so we don't have to be concerned about Donovan Dent or Tyler Bilodeau. We're completely fine on health there. So first leg of the parlay will be the earlier game for us, 9:40 a.m. between the Akron Zips and the Texas Tech Red Raiders in Tampa, Florida. I don't have much concern that Texas Tech, well, okay, I have more concern about this game, obviously, than I do UCF-UCLA, but I don't think Tech's losing this one. I know there's a population of people out there who think, oh, well, the 12 seed's going to upset the 5. Akron's going to pull off the big upset because JT Toppin's injured. I'm here to tell you I don't see it happening. I just don't. I think that is very overstated. Well, I think, people are making too much of the fact Toppin's not playing. And again, JT Toppin's a phenomenal basketball player. He averaged 22 and 11 this year in the regular season. He was great for Texas Tech, and his injury absolutely sucks. When he got hurt in that ASU game, horrible stuff. However, Tech's good enough to still beat Akron. Now, how much further do they advance in this tournament? I don't know. I mean, there is a population out there, I am included in that population, that thinks Alabama beats Texas Tech. Obviously, after what transpired, this past week with Alabama, that might change a little bit. I'd still barely take the Crimson Tide to go over the Red Raiders in that matchup. Again, though, it would be close. But now, Texas Tech Akron, I don't see it with the Zips here. I just don't, okay? I still believe Miami, Ohio is the best team in the Mid-American Conference. And you saw it in the thumbnail, we are talking about the Red Hawks later again today in this video like we did in the first four. How about Miami? Okay, Miami, we just wait for that. Miami versus Tennessee, cannot wait. Anyways, still don't think Akron's the best team in the MAC, and obviously they're not. I mean, yes, they won the Mid-American Conference tournament for, the third consecutive season now. I get it. Tavari Johnson, best player in the MAC, most likely. Again, Miami's got some really great players, but it's a combination of 7 guys. Akron, there are some other players too. Amani Lyles, Shama Scott, I get it. Tavari Johnson's their best guy, and he's the best player, obviously, on the Zips. But they are the second best team in the MAC. Miami beat them in the regular season. And it was a close game, and it was in Oxford. I don't care who won it. Akron went 17-1 this year in the Mid-American Conference. Again, the one loss being to the Miami Redhawks. 29-5 as a whole. Obviously needed to go to Cleveland and win the MAC tournament. They did exactly that to obviously punch their ticket into the NCAA tournament. I'm not concerned even with topping out, right? I'm not. I think, obviously, Texas Tech's not the same team, but this guard play on Tech is still very underrated, I think. And they've always been overshadowed by just how good JT Toppin is and how much JT Toppin does for Texas Tech. But no one talks about Christian Anderson as much as they should. Christian Anderson averages 19 points per game, sophomore out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's been really good. And I get it. People are kind of overlooking Tech because of the Toppin injury, because of the fact that they did not play particularly well in their one game in the Big 12 tournament where they ran into Iowa State. And Iowa State, of course, went on a big run in that tourney. It is what it is. An injured Tech team didn't love it, obviously. But Christian Anderson is playing. He got injured on that glass floor they had. Obviously, the glass floor in the Big 12 tournament was in Dallas, where they, you can change the court to whatever you want it to be. Kind of absurd. Kind of cool, not going to lie, but obviously it was a little bit of a safety concern. So anyways, Christian Anderson did get injured on that floor. I believe it was the day or game after Tech versus Iowa State. They switched the court back to normal hardware. Regardless, Anderson got injured. He slipped on that floor. He's okay. From everything that Texas Tech has said, everything that's been reported, is that Christian Anderson is 100% going into this game. And I would not include this into the parlay if Christian Anderson wasn't 100% going into this game. So we're fine with that. Again, still play 31 minutes in the Iowa State game, but only scored 10 points. It was not a great game for Anderson, but I do believe he's very underrated. The guy averaged 19 points per game this year. He's been great all season long. And then how about Donovan Atwell too? There are two really good guards on this team, Atwell being the other. Atwell averaged 13.5 this season. He's been such a good scorer throughout his collegiate career. Started out every single game for 3 consecutive seasons since his sophomore season at UNC Greensboro. Played 2 years over there with the Spartans, or actually 3, started 2 years with the Spartans, and this year for his senior year came on over to Texas Tech and actually increased his production and shot better once he got to Tech, once he got to the Big 12, got to Lubbock. Donovan Atwell actually became a better player. And just scoring-wise, 3-point percentage went up, field goal percentage went up. Again, across the board, Atwell had a really good season, and that's what I just think is getting overlooked with Texas Tech. Again, the immediate thing in the headline always for Texas Tech is, well, JT Toppin's not playing. We can't expect Tech to be great because their star center is out. And yeah, I understand. He had such a great year, and he's been such a consistently great player in college basketball. There's still some other really good guys in this team, right? I didn't even talk about the playmaking ability and the passing ability of Christian Anderson. Anderson averages 8 assists per game. I mean, I believe that is top 10 in college basketball. It's going to be top 5, right? It's top 3. Yeah. Christian Anderson, 3rd in college basketball in assists per game, only behind, obviously, Jeremy Fears from Michigan State and Braden Smith from Purdue. I mean, that's really good company to be in. Obviously, both Smith and Fears average more than 9 assists per game, but Christian Anderson averages the same amount of assists as Donovan Dent, as Josiah Davis, who is kind of a turnover machine at times with CSUN, but a guy who was a point guard for a very fast-playing Big West squad, right? So Christian Anderson is in elite tier in terms of playmaking, and he can score too. So watch out for, again, this guard duo from Tech. Lawan Watts is on this team too, right? Former Wazoo Cougar in his junior year out of Fresno, California. Lawan Watts has put together an all right season, I will say. Again, production-wise and efficiency-wise, down from his year last season in the Big West for Wazoo. Again, that's just expected, but still, Lawan Watts is on this Texas Tech squad. And I get it. People really like Akron. Yes, again, they're a fun team. They score a lot of points. Tavari Johnson's been great, averaged 20 points per game this year. Shama Scott at the big game-winning shot to take the lead in the MAC tournament championship game. Amani Lyles has had a great season. How about the Mahafis, both Evan and Eric? Really good players up and down the Akron lineup, and they do shoot the ball really well. Texas Tech, though, just is the better basketball team, and I get it. It's March, anything can happen. I mean, how High Point won yesterday, shocker, I know, but it's a MAC team, a really good MAC team versus a good Big 12 team. The good Big 12 team is going to find a way to win. So that's the first leg of the parlay. Second leg of the parlay, in my opinion, is the part of the parlay that I'm more confident in, legitimately. I don't see a world where UCLA's losing to UCF. Guys, every time I've sat down and watched the UCF Knights actually play basketball this season, they have sucked. Live, but let me clarify. Every time I watch them live, and then when I go back and rewatch them or watch highlights of their games, obviously, because there's a lot of college basketball going on at the same time, and if I don't know, I mean, Cal Poly is playing UC Santa Barbara. I'm going to choose that over UCF versus Baylor. Actually, I do remember watching UCF and Baylor this season, but you get my point, right? Anyways, UCF, when I watch them live, they always suck. But when you go back and actually rewatch them, it's like the High Point dilemma, right? When you don't watch High Point live, they rewrote that narrative yesterday, so what can I say? I'm going to stop hating on the High Point Panthers. Good for them. What a shooting effort yesterday in that huge victory over the Wisconsin Badgers. Again, I have nothing but credit to give and respect to give to High Point for yesterday. But anyways, and shout out to Sienna too. Just want to put that out there. Shout out to Sienna. I know they didn't get it done. Duke's fraudulent. Just say it how it is. We'll get more to Duke, I assume, tomorrow. We'll see. TCU, we'll see how that matchup goes. Anyways, UCF, UCLA. I don't envision UCLA having too much trouble with UCF. They're healthy. Bilodeau's playing. Dent's playing. That's all I need to hear. That's the truth. That's all I really need to hear from this game. Central Florida did not end their season well. They lost 4 of 5 going into this tournament. Lost to Baylor, OK State, where they gave up 111 points to Oklahoma State. At WVU, lost by 15 in Morgantown, beat Cincinnati in a game that really dictated, okay, winner's probably going to be in. That was a Big 12 tournament game, but still, winner clinched. Well, Cincinnati wouldn't have clinched if they had won, but regardless, UCF wins in overtime, what can I say? And they lost to Arizona. I'm not moved by this team. I'm not moved by them. Riley Kugel leads them in scoring with 14. Thamus Folks averages 14. Jordan Burks with 13. JaMychal Stillwell with 12. Again, they've got some guys who can score. I get it. They will pull up from Narnia sometimes and launch threes, and it will go in sometimes. John Bowles had his games this season too, right? Really effective shot blocker. I understand. Stillwell, really good rebounder, obviously, for Central Florida. UCLA, we've said it so many times with this UCLA team, and it's the absolute truth. They're a team every single season. They have the pieces. They have the talent. It is all just dependent on if they can put those pieces together and put together a competent team because, again, they've always had talent. It's UCLA. Regardless of how bad they are, they're always going to have a bunch of talent on this team, and especially with NIL, with the transfer portal, UCLA should never be bad in basketball. They should never miss the NCAA tournament ever again. And they rarely do, obviously. But regardless, the amount of talent there is on this team, Donovan Dent has figured it out as the season has gone on. I understand this was not the New Mexico type season we expected out of Donovan Dent. We expected Bob Cousy Award type stuff this year out of Dent. He did not do that, right? And I understand, it was a very underwhelming season for Donovan Dent. But after he hit the game-winning, I guess, coast-to-coast driving layup against Illinois, his season changed. He's shooting the three-point ball with more confidence. He's still giving you your double-digit assist numbers. I mean, the guy's putting up triple-doubles in the Big Ten tournament. He's been a different player. He's actually attacking the basket. He's putting it up. He's putting it on himself to carry the team a little bit. And I 100% can get behind a UCLA team where Donovan Dent is playing like this. Bilodeau should be playing great, 17.5 points per game scorer. Trent Perry, Sky Clark, Eric Daly. Again, there is so much talent on the team. Sky Clark may be it should be a top 5 spot up 3-point shooter in college basketball. That high arcing Sky Clark shot, it goes in, it's sky high. No? Nobody? Okay. Anyways, I'm going to UCLA. I don't see how they lose to UCF. I don't think UCF is able to keep up with this team. I get it. UCF can play fast. Defensively, I'm not moved. I've watched, again, Oklahoma State score 111 points on you. UCLA dominates. Texas Tech should win. I believe the harder part legitimately is the earlier game in the day with Texas Tech. Regardless, though, I still think the two-leg should smack. Minus 115 for UCLA and Texas Tech. Again, we need to overcome our adversity with the parlays. I know we banned them for like a week, but we're back. So anyways, on to our second best bet of the video. And hey, fins up. Let's go. LIU. The LIU Sharks. Fins up, baby. Let's go. We're taking the LIU Sharks to cover against the Arizona Wildcats. You know what's crazy when there's not even a money line being offered for Arizona? ESPN's got one listed. Let me see if I got my zeros right. Yeah, ESPN is minus 100,000 listed for Arizona money line wise. Wow. It's like that guy who put, $2,500 on Twitter on Duke. And Sienna almost got him. Anyways, but hey, you won $5. You paid for that Taco Bell burrito. LIU though versus Arizona. Fins up, baby. Give me the Sharks. I'm going with Long Island University here to cover the spread. 31 points is a lot. And I will tell you, I was looking at the schedule. and watching the way, and this, I feel like this is important. I know it doesn't matter the most, but I do think it's important enough. Watching the way both of those 1 versus 16 matchups went yesterday, I do think is somewhat meaningful looking at another 1 versus 16 matchup here with LIU versus Arizona. But regardless, 31 points is a lot, and I was very close to either this game or the other 116, obviously that one being Florida and Prairie View A&M. Florida is the biggest favorite in an NCAA tournament game, I believe. Let me get the year right. I think it's 93 or is it 96? One of the two. Florida is a 36-point favorite today against Prairie View, obviously, and we'll go over every single game at the end of the video, but Prairie View obviously went on that crazy run in the SWAC tournament, 8 seed in the SWAC tournament. They end up winning the entire thing, beating Bethune-Cookman, and obviously going to the NCAA tournament. Good for the Panthers. Won in the first 4, by the way, too. Good for them. Anyways, I was very split on either that game with Florida and Prairie View and this one, but I landed on the Sharks. Not because I wanted to do fins up like 10 times in the segment. No, I do think the Sharks can keep this game within this range. And I do, again, think it is somewhat important to look at the 1 versus 16 games yesterday. Again, first one, Duke versus Sienna. Guys, there was a moment in Duke versus Sienna yesterday where I actually bought in and thought Sienna was going to win. Okay, and I will tell you what the game-changing play in that game was. Undoubtedly, obviously, it was Sienna's up. I think it was either 11 or 13, but I think it was 13. They had their biggest lead of the game, and there was like 17 minutes in the second half, or 16 minutes in the second half. About to hit the under 16 timeout. But Sienna's up 13 points, and it's the largest lead of the game, and they flash a graphic saying largest deficit of Duke's season. And this is a team that has obviously played ACC teams all year long, even though they've beaten up on ACC teams for most of the year, except for UNC, who, by the way, shout out to VCU. Regardless, when Sienna missed that dunk, it was their center, and again, they only played 5 guys. But when it was Riley Mulvey, right? Mulvey. Yeah, it was Riley Mulvey. When Riley Mulvey went up for that dunk, and they're up 13, and he just missed it, and they got the rebound, and they couldn't put it back up, and Duke, outletted it deep down court, and I think it was Isaiah Evans who finished at the rack and got a big, slam to cut the lead to 11. That's when I immediately thought to myself, oh, they blew it. And I know there's still 16 minutes left, but if Sienna were to go up by 15 with a dunk, probably taking you to or close to the under 16 media timeout, oh my goodness, the momentum they would have had. I understand it's Duke, and they were always expected to come back in that game. And yes, it is difficult when you play, and Sienna's the first team since the 80s to play all 5 players all 40 minutes. I mean, this is like Lakers, Timberwolves, first round of the Western Conference playoffs last year type stuff. I mean, this is a JJ Redick formula. And I get it. They were always bound to kind of run out of gas, but my goodness, if they could have gone up by 15, oh man. But the other moment, that's not the moment though where I thought they were going to win, because obviously they didn't make the dunk. Sienna, I don't remember the time off the top of my head. I gotta believe there's around 5 minutes, and I would just look it up on ESPN's play-by-play, but they changed it a while ago, and it just sucks now, but maybe I will scroll and find it. I need to get the exact moment where I thought Sienna was going to win. There was still a lot of time left, but hear me out here. It was with 7 minutes to go, and Duke was going on a big run. Duke went, I think, on an 8-0 run. Sienna did not have an answer. They couldn't make anything, and Caden Boozer knocked down a 3 from the top. I think it was the deep pocket, kind of. And Sienna comes right back down court, and Gavin Doty, who, again, I told you to watch out for just yesterday, Gavin Doty's in the corner, and he, absolutely nails a 3 and looks back to his bench, and all those guys obviously are hyped up, and Gavin Doty sinks one. That was their 61st point of the game. They scored 4 more points in the last 8 minutes. And obviously, it's a bad time to think they were going to win. And Caden Boozer missed a layup after that. They were forcing shots, and Sienna turned it right back over, and, Boozer then made a shot, and they got it down to 3. But when Gavin Doty made that 3 and they went up by 5, I know there was still 8 minutes left or 7 minutes left, but I really thought Sienna was going to get it. I know it sounds crazy, but at the time I was like, yeah, Duke brought back all that momentum. They worked so hard to get right back in that game. And Sienna, I thought, okay, started, 1-3, boom, you break their will. And they got the turnover or they got the rebound and the Boozer miss, and obviously Sienna turned the ball over. So why am I spending so much time on Sienna versus Duke? Because it is impactful to the point where that game was really competitive. Same can be said about the first half of Howard versus Michigan. I understand the Wolverines pull away in the second half, but Howard was, a 31.5-point dog? They lose by 21 points. Howard puts up 80 points on Michigan, who's supposed to be one of the best defensive teams in college basketball, and a huge team at that as well. LIU should be able to keep within 30 here. I really think we're underestimating the 16s, and obviously, with the odds and with the books and the lines, yeah, obviously that happened yesterday with Sienna and Howard. They were massively overestimated, right? Nobody, or underestimated, excuse me. Nobody thought those teams were going to show up and play the way that they did yesterday, especially, obviously, the Sienna Saints. I think LIU is going to keep, can't say really close. I think they're going to keep it within 20 against Arizona. I think at halftime, they're going to be down by about 10, 15, let's say. I think they're only going to lose by about 20. I just think 31's way too much. Again, Arizona's a great team. Not going to lie to you. I think Arizona's great, right? I've expressed my concerns about Arizona all year long. Ultimately, I took the Wildcats to go to the Final Four. I took the Wildcats to go to the national championship game. I believe it. They are that good. 31's just too many for me. I like LIU. LIU to me should be a 15 seed. I know that doesn't have the most weight, obviously, because, okay, they should be playing Iowa State instead. But legitimately, yeah, I think LIU should be playing Iowa State, and Tennessee State should be in this matchup against Arizona. I'm telling you, we're not gonna go over that in the video today. Tennessee State's gonna lose by 30 points to Iowa State today. They lose by like 40. Tennessee State is so awful at basketball, with all due respect. Just something about the Ohio Valley, man, can't get behind it. LIU, I think, is going to remain somewhat competitive, though, against Arizona. Believe you me, I think they're going to. I think they'll be somewhat close in this game in that first half. And, yeah, Arizona's going to pull away. Guys, the Sharks play with heart. Sharks play with pride. I don't know. I assume the Fins Up guys are going to be in the crowd. I don't know how much else they're going to get. A crowd from Brooklyn coming on over to San Diego, California to play this game. Oh, my goodness. But it's an early one. Let's put this out there, too. 10:30 game in Viejas in San Diego? You're playing a game in San Diego at 10 o'clock in the morning. Huh? I mean, that kind of, it sounds like a good time, honestly, going into that game. But, like, really? At 10 o'clock in San Diego, California. Like, I remember, like, March Madness, the round 64 has not been Northern California in a while, at least where I am in Northern California. But when it was, I had school, so I didn't go to the morning session. But I remember watching those games, best times of my life, legitimately, one of the best times of my life. Being in school and watching March Madness on tablets. It was just, and on phones. Oh, phenomenal stuff. Anyways, but I remember when it was in San Jose, it's no secret. When March Madness was in San Jose and they had like a 10 o'clock game, there was nobody in the building. And those games were just oddly really weird. I'm telling you, 10:30 game in San Diego? Sure, Arizona fans are going to be there, but that is early for the Wildcats. That's 1:30 for LIU. I understand they've been in San Diego for quite a bit, and obviously they're adjusted to the time at this point. But if you're LIU, do you want to be adjusted to the time anymore? I don't think you do. I think, and again, I don't know how they viewed it. I don't know how LIU approached that going into this game. But if I'm LIU, I stick to Eastern Standard Time. I stick to it, right? That's okay. We're playing at 1:30. And obviously, again, like they're going to get up hella early for this game. Obviously, that's no secret. But I don't know. I like the Sharks in the spot. Arizona's got some really good players, but I think the way the 16s played yesterday, LIU, guys, they can score points. LIU can score. They're one of the better, no, they are the best scoring team in the NAC. They had a great season in the NAC, right? 15-3 in the conference, 24-10 as a whole. It's a good squad. I think they're going to be able to score. I think they should score about, I think they should get 70. I think they should. They should get 70. I know Arizona's really great defensively. I think LIU is going to find a way to score 70 points. So that might be crazy, but Arizona's probably going to be scoring a lot too, so it's going to be a lot of possessions. LIU scores 70, Arizona scores 95. We're set, okay? And that's an approximation, obviously. But I like LIU. Fins up plus 31 to cover against the Wildcats. Next up, we move on to a close to even money matchup, obviously, here with the Utah State Aggies and the Villanova Wildcats. It is Mountain West versus Big East. It is the only representative of the Mountain West against, obviously, one of three representatives from the Big East, obviously, with both UConn and St. John's advancing to the tournament as well, both of which, obviously, playing later in the day after Nova. But Villanova does become the first team to play in the Big East this year in the tournament. I think they lose. Utah State, I think they're very underrated. Just like St. Louis. Now, again, I did not come on here yesterday and tell you St. Louis was going to beat. Well, I did at the end of the video. That was not a best bet, though, me saying St. Louis was going to beat Georgia. But we thought it was going to happen. And I'm not, this is not the mid-SEC, so we're not going to pile on the SEC. That's going to happen. That's going to happen final two segments of the video. But, I think Utah State's massively underrated. Oh, just because they play in the Mountain West. Oh, the Mountain West is a one-bid league this year. Who cares? There's still some really good basketball that's being played in the Mountain West this season. And just because, again, one team got in the tourney, which, by the way, okay, San Diego State should have been in the tournament over SMU, but it's fine. Miami would have beaten both of them, so it doesn't matter. They would have beaten San Diego State, too. But I don't know how SDSU didn't get in this tournament. It's kind of absurd. And they obviously said, no, we're not playing in the NIT. Whatever. The Mountain West is better than just a one-bid league, but it's okay. But shout out to the A-10 for getting 3. So, they should have got 3. They only got 2. They should have got 3. Potentially, I don't know. maybe the A-10 was onto something when they said they were just as good as the Big East, because maybe they are. No, they're not, obviously. They don't have UConn or St. John's. Anyways, shout out to the Hawks, man. St. Joseph's Hawks. Utah State versus Nova. I like Utah State. Guys, Utah State's played great basketball this season. I know they've had their slip-ups on the road, though, right? And I get it. Neutral site game here. Well, all but one of their losses were on the road this year. Very good team at home, and I guess if you want to say like a neutral sites too, they didn't lose. Their losses this season at UNLV, that was a really weird game. I'm not going to talk about it. At Viejas against San Diego State, in Reno against Nevada, in Arizona and Phoenix against GCU in front of the Havocs, and then a home loss to UNLV, and the loss in USF against the Bulls. Ooh, USF yesterday. Awful. What, 17 missed threes in a row? Man. Anyways, Utah State's pretty good. Utah State's very good. By far the best team in the Mountain West this season, right? They needed to go into that tournament. Well, they didn't really need to go to the Mountain West tournament and do anything. They knew they were getting in regardless. They handled everybody. Played some really good teams in that tournament, right? Plays Nevada, who got them in the regular season. Plays San Diego State, beats them by 9 points. Played UNLV, too, who got them in the regular season. Utah State, in the Mountain West tournament, played 3 teams that had already beat them, and they beat them 3 straight days. In a tournament that didn't ultimately mean that much to Utah State. I mean, if they lost San Diego State or lost to any of these teams, they would have still ended up as a 9. And that's my thing. What was Utah State's, I'm asking the committee this. What was Utah State's ceiling? Obviously, it was a 9, so what was their floor? That's probably a better way of saying it. What was their floor? If they had lost to UNLV, would they have made them an 11 or a 10? Would they have dropped them to Dayton? That's just my question there. Like, because Utah State shouldn't, no way they've been sitting at a 9 all year long, and again, not to bracketology, but to the committee, and, they win the tournament, so they just stay at 9. Like, they must have thought this team was a 10, and then they won 3 games, I guess we're not going to have 2 bids in the Mountain West, make them a 9. Again, I don't understand that at all. Regardless, Utah State's much better than a 9 seed. It feels like the St. Louis-Georgia game yesterday, where Georgia was the high seed, and hell, even the official March Madness Twitter page posted 8-seeded St. Louis beats Georgia because it felt like St. Louis should have been the higher seeded team because they beat them by 30 points. They put 100 on them. I'm not telling you Utah State's going to beat Nova by 30 points, but they are the better basketball team. Villanova did have a really good season. They went 24-8. Obviously, they were the 3rd and final team from the Big East to get into the NCAA tournament, and there were really 2 teams that gave them hell for most of the year in the Big East. Obviously, it was UConn and St. John's, but for some reason, they lost to Georgetown in the tournament. Don't love that. Shout out to the Hoyas, right? A big Hoyas guy. Love Georgetown. You can't lose to Georgetown in the Big East tournament. Now, again, got my hopes up a little bit that the Hoyas were going to get another team in the tournament, another Big East team in the tournament. Obviously, they ran into UConn, didn't go very well, but you can't lose to Georgetown with your season on the line. Well, the thing is, it wasn't on the line, but still, in a tournament, I hate that. Georgetown, again, went on a run. They won 2 games in the Big East. Great tourney. Awesome. You can't lose 78-64 in March against Georgetown. This version of Georgetown, you can't do it. Nova's losses here, they had 8. First one, BYU, okay. Michigan on the road, obviously. Creighton at home, don't love that one. Whatever. St. John's at home, expected. UConn in East Hartford, expected. UConn second time around at Nova, okay. St. John's blowout loss in the Garden by 32. And then, obviously, the Georgetown loss in the Big East tournament. I'm not moved by Nova, though. I'm not moved by them. And yeah, again, they've always been that 3rd best team in the Big East. We've always expected for the most part this year. Yeah, Nova, again, they're not St. John's. Obviously, they're not UConn, but they're a tournament team. They've never really been on the bubble. It's just always expected, okay, yeah, Nova's going to be in this year, and they're good enough. 100%, they are. They're a tournament team. They're not better than Utah State. No. Okay, Duke Brennan's the guy, obviously, for Nova, right? Tyler Perkins is their leading scorer, but Duke Brennan's been their most efficient player all season. Duke Brennan averaged 12.5 points and 10 rebounds per game, right? Top 10 in college basketball and rebounds per game this season. Pretty much feels like every single game Duke Brennan plays, it's a double-double, right? 3 of his last 4, I think, are double-doubles. 2 of his last 3, right? DePaul game 15 and 12. Xavier game 2013, only had 14 and 6 against Georgetown. Again, that's just what the Hoyas do to you. They contain you. But anyways, right? Duke Brennan's the guy for Nova. He's going to be on the glass all game long. That's going to be a big factor in this game. And we will see how Utah State combats that, obviously, with their bigs and Carson Templin. We'll see. Carson Templin is somewhat undersized, and they haven't really played him much recently, and they've been playing Utah State's been playing small ball because they can kind of get away with it in the Mountain West. We'll see what they do here. They've been playing, some Gary Clark minutes. He did get 20 against San Diego State, but Temple and Clark are the two bigs. Utah State's played a lot of small ball in the Mountain West tournament. We'll see how they approach this. They're going to have to put a big on the court at all times, or they're just going to have to box Duke Brennan out with two players. Again, I'm not too concerned about Duke Brennan taking over the game scoring-wise. I'm really not. I'm more concerned, about the rebounds. I think Utah State should be okay because they do have some guards who are really good at getting boards. Mason Falsev's is the guy. Falsev averages 6 rebounds per game. He's a guy, again, 6'4", but huge vert. Honestly, is the Josh Giddey comp fair? I feel like it is. I feel like the Josh Giddey comp on Mason Falsev is kind of fair. Not as tall, nowhere near as tall as Josh Giddey is, but Falsev can score. Not the best 3-point shooter, but can get it going if he locks in on it, I guess. Not a great way of putting it, but, can be his team's leading scorer. Not always going to be, but always going to lead his team in PRA. But it's the truth, right? Like, Falsev's a guy who stuffs the stat sheet. He's going to get a lot of assists. He's going to crash the boards. He's going to get rebounds. He's got a good vert. He can make plays. He can score if you need him to, but I wouldn't say he's as pass first as obviously Josh Giddey is for the Chicago Bulls, but MJ Collins is their guy, get it scoring-wise, but Falsev did average 16 points per game this year. Now, MJ Collins, leading scorer for Utah State, averaged 18 this year. Senior out of Clover, South Carolina, bounced around schools, Virginia Tech to Vanderbilt, now settled on Utah State for his senior season, and what a decision it was. I mean, this guy has put together 20-point games in 3 out of his last 4 going into the tournament, 27 against New Mexico, 20 against UNLV, 12 against Nevada, and then 20 against San Diego State. MJ Collins is the guy to watch out for, and yes, Falsev has been, he's been the leader of Utah State over these last 3 seasons. I mean, he has been. Even coming in as a true freshman in 23-24, he started every single game. I mean, Falsev has pretty much never come off the court as soon as he's gotten to Utah State. He's always playing, and obviously he always starts. He is the leader of this team, but MJ Collins was such a great add for Falsev's junior year, and obviously we expect Mason Falsev back next season for his senior year. But they've got good players, and again, Carson Templin, his minutes have been, They've been up and down, I get it, but Templin can give you minutes. Drake Allen, Colby King, Gary Clark, obviously the other 4 that they're going to be playing. There's guys in this Utah State team, and I think they're good enough to beat Villanova. Villanova, again, Duke Brennan, Tyler Perkins averages 14. Other than those guys, not really wowed with anything Nova does. I mean, I will say, again, Devin Askew actually has a pretty big role in this team. I think he was 6th man of the year in the Big East this season. Very experienced college basketball player is one way to put it. Devin Askew made his collegiate debut back in 2020 for the Kentucky Wildcats, then went to Texas in 2021, then transferred for 2 years over at California, then played in the Pyramid last year in Long Beach, California for the Beach of Long Beach State, and obviously this year came off the bench in all but 2 games for the Villanova Wildcats. And after dropping 19 points per game last year for the Beach in the Big West, he averaged 10 this season for Villanova. But Askew actually has been a pretty big difference maker off the bench. He shoots 40% from beyond the arc. So he's had a really good year. Best shooting year by far of his career. It's not even close. I just think there's more firepower on Utah State. I think they play better defense than Villanova. I think they're the all-around better team. I'm telling you, I just hate the Villanova loss to Georgetown. One team's coming, and I get it. Different people have different takes about what to think about conference tournaments. I understand. One team just lost to the lowest seed in their conference tournament in Georgetown in their first round game, and the other team won 3 games in 3 days to make to the NCAA tournament, limit their conference so that they're the only team in their conference to get in the tournament. They've got all this momentum. They eliminated San Diego State. One team's playing with fire. One team, knows that they should be here, but is coming off of a rough game against Georgetown on Thursday. I like Utah State. I'm going to take the team with the momentum. Give me the Utah State Aggies to win the game outright. -120 for Utah State in this matchup again against the Villanova Wildcats in San Diego, California. Another factor, too, Utah State should have the fan advantage definitely in this game in a Mountain West arena. Next up, we move on to our 4th best bet of the video, and you did not hear the last of the Miami Redhawks. We are back, Miami plus 11.5. I really wanted to change my bracket, but I didn't do it. Really wanted to. I got very close to taking Miami to beat Tennessee straight up. I think they can. I just don't think they're going to. I hope they do. And again, I'll be cheering for them in this game. I don't care. Oh, my bracket, I have Tennessee. I have Tennessee going out in the next round anyways to UVA. UVA is going to the Final Four, by the way. But anyways, I want Miami to win this basketball game. I think they can win it. Stylistically, it's okay for them. There are better matchups for Miami, but again, I don't hate it at the same time. Like, I don't hate this matchup for them. Force Tennessee to score a lot of points. Okay. I mean, think about this too, okay? from our perspective, we don't need Miami to win. I hope they win, 100%. Like the SMU game, right? Well, the SMU game, we thought they were going to win. We took the points. It was 7.5. But we thought they were going to outright beat the Ponies, and they did. In kind of at home, they brought all their fans, obviously, to Dayton. And obviously, Oxford, Dayton, not that far of a trip. But Miami versus Tennessee, okay, Tennessee's going to be forced to play this Miami game at fast-paced. Unless they just don't shoot well tonight, which... I mean, I just don't think that's going to happen. How many times are we going to keep underestimating this team? Going to the SMU game, and, maybe I should have been bolder. Maybe I should have just made the best bet the money line for Miami. Again, we always thought they were going to beat SMU, but I was like, oh, let's take the points, right? Looking back on it, and obviously hindsight's 2020, plus 275 was brilliant for Miami, Ohio. Wow, I wonder why the team that went 31-0 in the regular season, I wonder why they're beating SMU. I wonder why they're beating a mid-ACC team. Shocker. I mean, and again, for the future, it's actually better that Miami won this game for, justice for mid-majors, right? It's better that they actually played the first 4 and won because it showed, because let's say, hypothetical here. Hypothetical, let's say Miami was a 10 seed, and hypothetically speaking, let's say they matched up against, UCLA. And say UCLA beat them by 2 points, whatever. Beat them, doesn't matter how UCLA wins, right? Say UCLA beats Miami in the first round, and it's like, Miami got what they deserved, right? They were a 10 seed, they got in, they didn't have to play in Dayton, and they just lost. They shouldn't have been in the tournament anyways. Now they got a quad 1 victory. They're undefeated in quad 1 games this year. They beat SMU to prove that, we do deserve to be in the tournament. But now the overall consensus around that is, well, it was stupid you made them play SMU in the first place because, obviously, they were going to beat that team. They won 31 games in the regular season. They won 31 straight. Just because they slipped up once against UMass doesn't mean they're not going to be a mid-ponies team. And they do it. They dominate. No, they dominate SMU. SMU had their moments, 100%. They made their runs. But Miami was always in control of that basketball game. I mean, I had the biggest smile on my face watching that. I was in the Save Mart Center in Fresno, California, watching All Elite Wrestling. And I was sitting there during a pre-tape of the Saturday night show, and I had the biggest smile on my face watching Miami beat the hell out of Southern Methodist. It was great. I mean, justice for the mid-majors. All these media pundits bitching and complaining, the MAC doesn't deserve 2 teams. Auburn should be in the tournament. Auburn, who struggled against South Alabama in the NIT. But again, I will give Auburn credit for actually playing the tournament and not taking their ball and going home like the Hoosiers, but whatever. That's why, I use a football school, so we don't care. But anyways, in the long run, it's better than Miami beat SMU. It is. Because even if they lose to Tennessee today, well, it's like, okay, well, they still beat SMU in the tournament. They were more deserving of than an ACC school. Great. They have what it takes to beat Tennessee. The points, though, are just, this is looking me in the face. I'm not turning this one down. Miami, 11.5 points, absolutely. Absolutely. They're going to score, okay? And you have to press this team the entire game, essentially. You have to. You can't give them looks. Because if you give them looks, they're going to take advantage and they're going to shoot right over the top of you. Miami shoots 41 3-pointers against Southern Methodist. They make 16 of them. Shoot 40% from beyond the arc. How about the game Ian Elmer had? That game starts and it's Luke Skyljak and Ian Elmer have all of their points. But 2, I think it was at the time, because I think Brant Byers had 2. And Brant Byers turned it up as the game went on. But Ian Elmer goes 6 for 9 from beyond the arc, 8 for 11 from the field, 23 points. Skyljak goes 30 minutes, 17 points, 7 of 12 from the field, 3 for 5 from beyond the arc. And Brant Byers, all-conference player in the MAC, 36 minutes, 19 points, 5 of 11 from the field, 4 of 9 from beyond the arc. And what I always say about Miami, and it's still true, anyone who steps in the court for the Red Hawks is a threat to shoot the basketball. Antoine Woolfolk did not have a good game. He had a pretty bad game. Couldn't make a free throw. Served as their big, obviously. He's there to rebound and obviously, give them size against an SMU team. Obviously, that had a lot of size in the court, and Miami dealt with it. Woolfolk, I know, didn't have a good game. Went 1 for 2 from the line, 0 for 3 from beyond the arc, but he's still a threat to shoot. Peter Suter had a bad game. Only scored 7 points, played 36 minutes, went 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. Suter's a threat. Even their bench pieces. How about the game Almar Atlason have? Atlason, 2 for 7 from beyond the arc, 12 points, but again, those are 2 big threes, and he's a threat. Justin Kirby comes off the bench. He hits a 3, attempts 3. Trey Perry, 0 for 1 from beyond the arc. But again, anyone who steps in the court, if you're going to play for the Miami Ohio Redhawks, you need to be able to shoot the 3-point ball. And that's what they all do. And that's why I love Illinois so much. Like to win the entire thing. Still, we're on it. How about the victory yesterday for the Illini over UPenn? And Illinois gets VCU in the next round. Oh my goodness. Easy Sweet 16. Bring on Houston. If they can get past A&M. I hope A&M wins. All over the Illini to win the entire thing. Regardless, Miami's a problem because of how they play. Tennessee, I have to imagine, is going to try to attack the paint all game long. Because that's the most success Southern Methodist saw was when they gave Samet the ball, or it was really Jaden Toombs. You give Jaden Toombs the ball, let him back down, hook shot, bang. Because SMU, and I'll say this, I'm glad Miami won. I don't know why SMU kept on forcing those three-point chucks. I don't understand it. They were getting to the line quite a bit. Jaden Toombs was having a day. He was playing well, outplaying Samet, but yet they insisted on taking bad looks from three from Jerome Pierre. Jerome Pierre, former Jacksonville State Gamecock, goes 1 for 7 from beyond the arc. Corey Washington went 0 for 3. Boopy Miller had a good game. We can always expect that out of Boopy Miller. But I didn't understand what they were doing because SMU didn't play a sloppy game. That's always been my concern all year long with Southern Methodist. They play sloppy. They turn the ball over too much. They turned the ball over 6 times against Miami. They just kept on forcing bad shots, and I don't understand why they did that. So that's my thing here, and that's why I can't tell you Miami's going to beat Tennessee outright, because I have to imagine Tennessee is going to force the ball in the paint. I have to imagine, Nate Ament, who I think is going to be top 8 in the draft, will be a lottery pick, top 8 probably. We'll see how that, everything moves. Kingston Flemings has obviously become a bigger prospect than him. Darius Acuff obviously is now rising the ranks. Nate Ament can score when he gets to the hoop, though. He can, right? He is going to lower his shoulder and try to get to the basket. I have to imagine the 6'10 freshman out of Virginia is going to have a big impact on this game. Same with Felix Okpara. I know Okpara is not the straight scoring threat, but Okpara is a big player down low, and he can finish. Again, you're not going to see many drawn plays for Felix Okpara, but he's 7 feet tall. Have to imagine he's going to get some looks here. JP Estrella, too. Estrella has seen his minutes go from, felt like mid-30s to 20s. I don't know. Well, he started getting 15 minutes per game, then had 30 minutes per game, and had a stretch where he's playing a lot. Now it feels like he's playing half the game. Estrella, though, is a threat, too. And then there's Jacoby Gillespie as well. Gillespie's going to space the floor more than any other player on Tennessee. Thing is, Jacoby Gillespie has not been great from beyond the arc going into this tournament. I had an okay game against Vanderbilt. Don't forget, again, Tennessee completely blew their lead in the Vanderbilt game. Vandy came back and beat him, obviously, in Nashville. Rivalry game at that. Jacoby Gillespie's been pretty bad shooting the three-point ball, though, going into the SEC tournament. 3 for 12 against Mizzou, 3 for 10 against Bama, 0 for 4 against SC, South Carolina, and 1 for 11 against Vanderbilt from beyond the arc. Again, the best opportunity to score in Miami 100% is attack the basket, go downhill, and finish at the hoop. But the way Miami plays and how fast they play, you kind of get stuck in oh crap, threes are better than twos, and it feels like, well, they're converting every single time they come down the court. We want to match. And okay, well, here comes, Brant Byers hits a 3. We want to match it. Okay, but now you missed the 3. You force up a shot. Gillespie, who again has done that a lot this season. He forces up shots, misses one. Okay, now here comes Ian Elmer, corner 3, bang. All of a sudden now we're down 6 points. Okay, but we need to try to get back in. I'm going to force one. We miss a 3, come back on the other side. Now Miami hits you. They drive in, layup finishes Brant Byers. You're down 8 points. Now you got to call a timeout. You got to regroup and got to get back in the huddle and say, okay, well, hold on, what are we doing, right? The twos are better. The twos are there. Yes, we would rather have threes 100%. But you got to realize, again, and I'm saying this again as someone who's watched a lot of Miami basketball, they're going to miss threes eventually. They're going to go through their stretches where obviously they're great. They've lost one game all year long. They're going to go through all these stretches where they don't miss threes. There are going to be their stretches where they do miss threes. So that's where teams have struggled all year long against Miami. They try to match, and they can't do it. I saw Marshall do that. We saw SMU try to do it. We've seen a bunch of, we saw Buffalo late in overtime against Miami do against this team. We've seen so many teams in the MAC and just in general try to play Miami just a complete match game from beyond the arc, and it hasn't worked. Tennessee can't do that. They straight up, they cannot match Miami of Ohio from beyond the arc. They don't have the three-point shooting to do so. They don't. It's just going to be a matter of if they try to do it or not. Because if they try to match, Red Hawk's going to beat them. Straight up. Regardless, Miami's covering 11.5 points. It's way too many. It is way too many. They've lost one game this season. The team that is 32-1 is keeping this in single digits. I would argue they're winning it outright. Give me the Red Hawks. I really want to see them continue to play well and win. And I'll tell you this, as someone who has Virginia going to the Final Four, I'd rather Virginia get Tennessee. Ooh. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Virginia versus Tennessee is a perfect matchup for Virginia. It's pretty good for against Miami too, but how do you stop a really great interior defensive team? You shoot over them. I'd rather Virginia play Tennessee personally than Miami of Ohio. So I'm taking the Red Hawks. I think they upset them outright. I think it's close. I did on my bracket take Tennessee. I think it's going to be a close game. Regardless, we don't care. We're taking the points on Miami. I want to see them win, though, 100%. I want to see the Cinderella run continue. On to our final best bet of the video, we go to the nightcap between Miami, the other Miami of Florida, taking on Missouri, a late night spot from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. Why is this game starting at 9 o'clock in St. Louis? Why? Why are you starting a game at 9 o'clock out there? This game's definitely not starting until 9:30 too. You know how these games work. Sure. Missouri versus Miami. Maybe the easiest one of the night. It might be. Why? Why is Missouri even in the tournament? Guys, I don't think Miami of Florida is that good. I don't think they are. They're good. They're not great. They're way better than Missouri. They have been gifted a first-round matchup. I mean, Miami's got to think we hit the jackpot because what they should have done, and again, I'm glad the Redhawks, Miami, wins their game. Obviously, I'm really glad that they beat SMU. This should have been Miami, Ohio versus Miami, Florida. It should have been. Mizzou should have had to play SMU. That's what it should have been. And when they were reviewing the brackets, when they read off, okay, the 7th seed, the Miami Hurricanes, I was crossing my fingers hoping that was going to be Miami in the 10. It's okay. It all worked out. And again, long run, way better for Miami that they won that game against SMU. Because even if, knock on wood, everything goes south tonight and they lose and maybe even get blown out by Tennessee, they're not going to get blown out. But say they lose, they will always have, we won an NCAA tournament game this year. We beat SMU. You can put up a banner saying 32-win season and a victory in the NCAA tournament. Great. I'm hoping they can continue it tonight. But ultimately, that's better than, say, Miami, Florida gets you by 2 points, right? Anyways, Miami versus Missouri. Well, Missouri's not as good as Miami, Ohio, I'll tell you that. Miami, Florida is going to beat the crap out of this team. I really believe so. Yes, the game's in Missouri. I understand. That is the only thing keeping the Tigers in this game. And it's a gift. What can I say? Missouri got gifted this spot. They should have been playing in Dayton. Instead, no, you're a 10 seed, and now you get to play at home. You're going to play in St. Louis. That is a joke. I cannot lie. I think despite that, Miami's fine. If this game was anywhere else in the country, Miami would be a 4.5-point favorite. Maybe more. Just because the game's in Missouri, and I have to imagine it's going to be 85% Missouri fans, because Miami fans don't really exist for basketball. Let's just be honest, they don't. Okay, they don't really exist for football either until they turn up and make the playoffs, which I understand is a lot of college football programs, but still, there's going to be no Miami heads in the crowd except for the parents and the boosters. There's going to be no one else there. I don't think the fans are. Let's just say it, guys. Students at Miami University. Is it spring break right now in Miami U? It might be. Whatever. Miami U. Obviously the U. Students, unless you love basketball at Miami, which let's just be honest, the student population there is not there. The student population at UM is not there to watch basketball. Let's just call it how it is. They go to games, but they're not traveling to St. Louis to watch these games. I'll just tell you that. And I'll be honest too. If I lived in Miami, why would I want to spend a weekend in St. Louis? I've been to St. Louis. The Arch is cool. The rest of it, what the hell are you supposed to do in St. Louis? What are you supposed to do? I don't know. The Arch is a phenomenal time. Cannot lie. But yeah, I don't know. Only time I've ever seen a guy being threatened with I don't know if I can say this without getting demonetized. Only time I've ever seen a man on the freeway being threatened with a gun was in St. Louis, Missouri. And it wasn't even a bad part of town. Well, I guess the airport's kind of in a crappy spot, but still, I couldn't believe my eyes. Sorry, quick side note. I land in St. Louis and I get into a car, and as immediately as we get on the freeway, I see a guy kind of get cut off, and then this dude gets mad, so he speeds up in front of the guy, cuts him off again, so swerves out of his lane, gets back in front of the guy who kind of cut him off, not really, and he sticks sticks out a weapon. I think I'll get away with. I don't think I'll get demonetized from this. Sticks out this all happened in GTA. That's all get around it. In GTA, he sticks out a gun out of the window and points it at the guy. And he the dude does this. So he twists his arm. I was like, that's a great welcome to St. Louis. Unbelievable. I've been to St. Louis twice. The first time I was there, I could not believe what I was seeing. Anyways, I said all that because, yeah, if I lived in Miami, Florida, I wouldn't want to spend my weekend in St. Louis either. With all due respect, I don't care how great the basketball team is. If they were the 1 seed, if I'm at Miami, I'm not going to St. Louis. So yes, there is going to be a hometown advantage and a home crowd advantage for the Tigers in this game. Now, I don't know my Missouri geography the best, but Columbia, Missouri to St. Louis, Missouri, okay, it's not that far. I'm looking at a map of Missouri. Again, the only part of Missouri I've been in is St. Louis, but essentially, I'm looking at a map right now here. You guys can look at it too, I guess. Columbia is right in the middle of the state. Kansas City to the west and St. Louis is to the east. So I have to imagine Missouri's like, what, 4 hours, I think. So like it's a 2-hour drive. So, and again, to Midwest folks, a 2-hour drive is like going to your local Target. So there's going to be a bunch of Missouri heads of this game. I understand. That's the only reason why the odds are so close. Missouri, despite the fact that they played a lot of home games, obviously, in the regular season, they lost to Texas at home. Texas came into Columbia and beat them by 17 points. Miami's better than Texas. I know Texas is going to the round of 32. Good for them. They might beat Gonzaga. They might. I don't know. We'll see. Texas went in there and beat Mizzou. Georgia came into Mizzou and beat them. Arkansas, expected. Overtime game. Mizzou's not good. And look at the streak that they put in, the losing streak they're on. They've lost 3 in a row. Close the regular season, lose in Oklahoma, lose to Arkansas in OT. You go into the SEC tournament, you lose right away to Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky's better than them, 100%. There's one player I'm impressed by on Missouri. One player only. It's Mark Mitchell. Mark Mitchell averages 18 points per game, 6'9" forward for this team, potentially his final game in collegiate basketball today. Obviously, 2-year player, 2-year starter at Duke. Became the guy at Missouri. Phenomenal. He's been great. Put up 32 points in back-to-back games to close the year against Arkansas and against Kentucky. Mark Mitchell's a really great player. Other than Mark Mitchell, who am I supposed to be impressed by? Jaden Stone? Trent Pierce? I mean, this team has dealt with injuries all year long. I will say that. But I'm not wowed. Miami, it all comes down to their shooting. All comes down to it. Not because they're a crazy 45 three-point shot team per game attempts. You get my point. It's all about the percentages. They're not going to shoot more than 25, but it's all about how they shoot with those 25%. If they can just shoot over 40, we're going to be okay. Over 35, we're going to be okay. Malik Renew, I think, is going to have an impact. Malik Renew, Mark Mitchell's the matchup to watch out for. Mitchell, former Duke Blue Devil. Malik Renew, former Indiana Hoosier. Come from 2 Blue Bloods. They now found their ways at Miami and, Missouri. It's great. Watch out for Ernest Uday. Actually, maybe, is Miami going to put Uday on Mitchell? They might. That's fine. Put Uday on him. Actually, they probably should. Uday's better defensively, 100%. Guys, Miami's got size. They're not going to be, this Missouri team's not going to bully them down low. You never know. You have Uday. You got Sheldon Henderson. I know Henderson, again, is not, nowhere near as big as Renault and Uday, but still, we're fine. True Washington, really great shooter. Trey Donaldson can hit his shots when you need him to. I like this a lot. I do. I like it a lot for Miami. Again, the only reason this is anywhere close in the odds and why the odds are where they're at is because the game's in the state of Missouri. If it wasn't in Missouri, if this was in Portland, Oregon, and, AJ DeBon used to say he didn't leave his hotel room in Portland, Oregon, I wouldn't either, pal. Portland. Anyways, Rose Garden's nice. But anyways, if this game was in Portland, Oregon, Miami would easily beat Missouri. This would be a 4.5 point, 5.5 point spread. Just because the game's in Missouri doesn't mean that much of a difference. We've seen Missouri lose in Columbia all year long. They can lose in St. Louis too. Give me the Hurricanes minus 130. I don't care the game's in Missouri. Doesn't mean that much to me. Miami wins the game because why? They're the better basketball team. They are the better basketball team. Give me both Miamis, again, to cover/win for us today, as Ohio and Florida can hopefully both can come through for us today. So that was it, folks, for the best bets portion of the video. However, again, there are still 16 total games today, so let's talk about the 10 games we didn't get a chance to go over today with this video. So let's now look at the schedule. Here we go. Boom. Okay. Let's look at every other game we did not get to talk about today. First up in St. Louis, early game Santa Clara versus Kentucky. I'm still taking Santa Clara. The reason it's not in the video is because, well, look how the WCC's playing in this tournament. You know what? I'm done ever saying St. Mary's is going to have a good tournament. It never happens. Every single season, I fall for it every year. They're great in the regular season. They play great defense, and they get in the tournament, and their poor offensive unit strikes again. I'm done with St. Mary's in the tournament. They're great. They're awesome in Moraga, 100%. I'm done picking that team in the tournament. They'll be back again next year because they're going to win. Santa Clara might win the WCC, but I feel like the WCC is going to continue to be a 2-bid league with Santa Clara and St. Mary's every single year. So I'm done ever picking St. Mary's in the tournament. I'll probably be back next year picking them again, but I'm done for now. So the reason why I'm hesitant on Santa Clara and didn't make this the best bet was because, yeah, the WCC didn't play well yesterday. St. Mary's did not play well. They lost. Obviously, they're done. And Zaga, we expected it. I thought Zaga was going to lose, but whatever. That's what I predicted. But we had, obviously, points on Kennesaw. And yeah, Zaga did not look great. But I've been saying that all year long. And now the public's finally realizing, oh, wow, Zaga kind of sucks. Yeah, it's the truth. Texas is a legitimate shot to beat them. I think I'm going to be picking Texas to beat Gonzaga. Braden Huff's not back yet. I'm taking Texas in that game tomorrow. But still, I'm hesitant on Santa Clara. I'm 100% hesitant. I think they win still, but it's not obviously a best bet. So Santa Clara wins. Take the 2.5, take the 3.5. But no, we're not betting on that game. Next up, we already did Akron, Texas Tech. We did LIU, Arizona. Virginia versus Wright State. Should be a fun stylistical game. Obviously, Virginia legitimately, I believe, got to be top 5 defensive team in college basketball. Taking on the Wright State Raiders, who are the highest scoring team in the Horizon League. I mean, Wright State had a really good run in the Horizon tourney. Everyone thought they were going to get eliminated by the Northern Kentucky Norse in the 3rd round because Northern Kentucky just won a crazy run. Wright State, huge comebacks in that tournament back-to-back. They hold off their opposition. They win. They score a lot of points. It's hard to score a lot of points against Virginia. I will say, if Miami beats Tennessee today, watch how Virginia plays Wright State. Again, I think I'm going to be right on this. I don't think Wright State's going to score that many points. They're not going to look like Wright State in the regular season. They're not going to be able to get their looks from 3. Virginia is going to close out. They are going to put a hand in your face. It is difficult to get clean looks off against this team. They are that good defensively. And obviously, interior-wise, they are phenomenal too. So again, we'll see. Because if we get Miami versus Virginia next, just watch this game. And that's where, again, if I love the Red Hawks, but their run's coming to an end when they play Virginia. It is. They're just that good. They play that good defense. I expect them to cover, but again, it's not one of my top 5 most confident today, just because the backdoor cover of the Wright State shooting could come into play. But I like UVA, obviously. Iowa State, Tennessee State. Tennessee State's the worst team in the tournament. That's the truth. They're the worst team left. I'll tell you that. They're the worst team left. We've watched Tennessee State this season. Every time I watch them, they suck ass. I don't know how they won the OVC. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't watch OVC tournament games, okay? I watched, like, the end of their games. And by those points, they're already winning. So I've said this before, I'll say it again. The OVC is the conference in college basketball I watch the absolute least because I don't understand Ohio Valley basketball. I don't understand it. Tennessee State has looked awful to me all year long, and somehow they won the thing. Moorhead wasn't great either. I get it. But, oh, man, I don't understand it. Yeah, UTM was the other team in this tourney. Whatever. Iowa State's going to dominate them. Again, Iowa State's still potentially a 2nd-round exit, but whatever. They'll win this game because Tennessee State is awful. Next up, Hofstra, Bama. Again, how does Bama play post-Weed suspension or Weed expulsion? They'll be fine in this one. Hofstra, gotta play slow, gotta really maximize possessions, gotta limit Alabama to 35 in the first half. Don't think they can do that. Where Hofstra will have Bama's on the glass. Bama's not a good rebounding team. Hofstra might have their opportunities there, but come on now. It's Hofstra versus Alabama. Hofstra got 3 loaded CAA this year. Shout out to UNCW. UNC Wilmington's still playing the NIT. They have a home game tomorrow. Yeah, again, why the NIT is going this weekend is so stupid, whatever. UNCW is getting a home game in the NIT tomorrow. They're good. And Hofstra, went through a difficult CAA. Alabama's a whole other monster, man. Bama's going to run through them. I don't know. Bama Tech now, though, that one gets concerning for me. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Nova, Utah State went over that. Tennessee, Miami went over that. Iowa, Clemson. My thoughts are Bennett Sturtz is good enough to win you one game in the tournament. I got close to putting this in the video. The best bets, decided against it. Bennett Sturtz is good enough to win you a game in the NCAA tournament right away. Clemson's a good team. I just think I think Bennett Sturtz will beat them. Iowa's not much other than Bennett Sturtz, let's just be honest. But Bennett Sturtz himself will win them this game. That's just the truth. Northern Iowa, St. John's. The way I described this when we broke down the entire bracket was St. John's is a Big East version of UNI. I kind of still feel like that. St. John's is good. Zuby Ejiofor and those dudes, they're a good team. Patino is not losing in the first round to Northern Iowa. UNI, one of the lowest scoring teams in college basketball, but they win because, again, their defense is great. It's one thing to play great defense against the MVC. It's another thing against the Big East. Give me St. John's. UCF versus UCLA went over that. Queens versus Purdue. Purdue will win. I don't know what else to say there. Purdue will win this game. Queens comes from the ASUN first year of eligibility. They get in. Congrats. Give me Purdue. I legitimately just don't have anything to say about that. Florida versus Prairie View. Again, I got really close to taking Prairie View on the points. I know their record's ugly, 19-17. They went on a great run in the SWAC tournament, so do not underestimate the squad. There's a reason Florida's a 36-point favorite, 35.5-point favorite. Give me the Gators. And then Cal Baptist versus Kansas. Dominique Daniels is a really good player. Dominique Daniels is a great player. That's right away. Watch out for him. Darren Peterson, though, is good enough to get you 2 games in this tournament. Just him alone. He's that good. He just has to be motivated in this game, and I think he will be. Cal Baptist, not a bad defensive team in the WAC, but we saw them outside of WAC play against, Utah and Colorado. They really struggle defensively against good teams and mid-Big 12 teams. I can't only imagine what's going to happen against Kansas. Kansas should win and cover 14.5. And we close the video, UConn versus Furman. Shout out to the Paladins. What a run in the SoCon tournament. Beat ETSU in the SoCon championship game. It's UConn. What do you want me to say? Give me UConn on the points. That'll do it, folks, for our best bets in tournament preview here for the second day of March Madness. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure you like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba